a Nintendo fan when the Switch launched and you saw that 4 pop up on that original Nintendo Direct, hyping up that Metroid Prime 4 is only a few years away, and when you kept on seeing all those YouTubers, like that Muppet-looking motherfucker Arlo,
this was a good day.
talking about how, oh, this is gonna be so exciting, and then the game turns out shit. You know, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Metroid Prime 4 is not shit, but it is extremely flawed. And in this video, we're going to be discussing my problems with the game, because I was really looking forward to Metroid Prime 4. As someone who went through all 3 of the Prime trilogy in 2023, right before the Metroid Prime 4, the Metroid Remaster came out on Switch 1, horrible timing, by the way, I feel like Prime 4's quality hit me harder than most, because I played through all 3 only a few years before Prime 4 came out, so it was like fresh in my mind what to expect and what I wanted to see new. And the unfortunate reality of Metroid Prime 4 is there's not a lot of new to be found. I remember launching the game on my Switch 2 and feeling like the opening was really strong. It was cinematic. It reminded me of Prime 1, which will be a recurring theme we'll get into later. But it felt promising. There wasn't a lot of dialogue. There wasn't a lot of, you know, like, things that were red flags yet. So I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then Silex comes out and I'm like, oh shit, this is getting started, right? And then you drop down on Viros, and I start noticing that it looks fantastic. It's one of the best looking Nintendo made games, but you know, Retro Studios has some of the best and most talented artists in the whole company. But my whole issue with Prime 4 is that it looks so great, but it's as deep as a puddle gameplay wise. It is literally copy and paste Prime 1. There is really not a lot of new ideas to be found gameplay wise, and that was what I was most excited for with the prospect of a new Metroid Prime. You can tell a few things with the gameplay, specifically with the interviews that came out after the game's launch. You can tell they were trying to make the first open world Metroidvania, and they couldn't do it. So what they did was they made a very open map that does nothing to link all the areas together that are Metroidvania areas. And the problem with that is, I remember at my last job, I was telling a coworker or manager something to the effect of, I was watching the trailer for Prime 4, and I remember thinking, huh, this area on this bike looks a lot like Gears 5. And I remember thinking to myself, that's really interesting. I wonder if anyone's talked about this. Because if you know anything about Gears of War 5, it actually had a similar thing happen, where they were making a more open-ended Gears, to my knowledge, and then they couldn't quite make it work, so they made it two open-ended maps, one in a snow area and one like in a desert area, that you just kind of drove around on a vehicle to get to to the actual content, which is literally what Metroid Prime 4 is. It is like beat for beat, that is what Prime 4 is. And it even matches the development history, which is even funnier to me. Because like, I don't know what I expected, but honestly, I don't know how you even make a Metroidvania work in an open world setting, mainly because it would be almost impossible, in my opinion, to develop that. And I don't expect anyone to ever try it again, because if Nintendo and Retro can't do it, probably no one can. So that's funny to me. But the thing that bothered me about Prime 4 was just, it felt so... it felt so static. It felt like everything was just kind of there and didn't engage me as a player. Like, you know, like a lot of Metroidvanias, like Hollow Knight or Silksong, one of the reasons people like those games so much nowadays is that they have great movement. They have great movement that makes it more... Oh, and Ori, for example, is another game that does this, where they're Metroidvanias that aren't just about collecting the items, they're about the movement, the feeling of playing them. And then you play Metroid Prime 4, and they haven't done anything new with the shooting, the gunplay, or the movement. So it literally feels like a game from 20 years ago, because it kind of fucking is. And there's like nothing new. Where is the content, Nintendo? But you get the idea. I do not think Prime 4 is bad. I really don't, but I don't think it is at all worth $70, and I was heavily disappointed by its quality. I think I don't know if Prime is dead from here. They'll probably make a Prime 5 with the assets they used for Prime 4 because the game was in development for so long, they have to make back their money somehow. But I don't know where the franchise goes after a potential asset flip, you know, of 4. Because, like, what do you even do? I think the only hope for Prime is that they make a really interesting sequel with the assets of 4. That's the only path forward at this point. Because right now, at this time, the game has no updates planned. It has nothing going for it. It's just kind of there. I think they just kind of wanted to ship it out because it was in development for so long. They wanted to get something that was good enough. But the thing about Nintendo is they've never been about good enough. Unless you're Pokemon, then they're pretty much good enough. But, you know, unless you're Arlo, that Muppet fucker, you're going around being like, this Paper Mario is going to be the best thing ever. I'm being so harsh on that puppet today. I don't know why. I mean, it's funny to make fun of a puppet. It's not funny to make fun of a person. But for a Muppet, like a puppet Muppet, I don't really give a fuck. So, fuck that blue fuck. Anyway. Yeah. Metroid Prime 4, it's flawed, but it's not bad, and I think if you play it, you'll have a good time, but I was heavily disappointed. But anyway, gamers, thank you for watching today. Please subscribe today, hype the video if you have the hype button, and gamers, rise up.